Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us again on the Moms Living a Life They Love Summit, where I am interviewing many fabulous women who have a flourishing family, a fulfilling career, and a ton of fun in the process. And I'm super excited about our guest today, Beth Feldman. She is the co-founder of the Beyond PR Group, which is a full-service PR consulting firm. And she has also started an amazing online community for parents called RoleMommy. And so we'll get to that we'll get to all the fun stuff that she does. But Beth, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, let's just jump right into the juicy stuff, the good stuff. Tell us a little bit about yourself. So I want to hear about your family and your career. So whichever you want to start with, tell us kind of what you do, who you are and what you do.
Okay. Well, who I am and what I do, I do a lot. It's, I've been in publicity for the last, oh my God, almost started very young, and got into entertainment PR, where I was launching talk shows and was working with everything from Maury Povich to Ricky Lake and a lot of others in between, and then spent more than a decade as an entertainment publicist at CBS, where I handled PR for shows like CSI, The Amazing Race, Everybody Loves Raymond. And while I was there, I got married when I had all these different milestones. I got married when I first joined CBS, and a couple years later had my daughter. And while I was working there and while I was pregnant, I had suggested to my boss, or asked my boss, if he would consider allowing me to work from home a few days a week. And at first he said, well, we'll give it a try, maybe 7 weeks or so, and then we'll figure it out from there. Well, 7 weeks turned into additional 7 years. And I was one of the first people to get to telecommute. And this was way back before technology made it that easy to be able to do that. But he was a visionary and he let me do it. And it paved the way for other people in the department to do it. And from that, RoleMommy was born, because at the time I was climbing that ladder, juggling family, and my kids were little, and yet I still wanted to pursue my passion while raising a family. And so a friend of mine who was a producer at Extra, we got together, talked about our struggles as working moms and the funny side of it, and we decided to write a book about our experiences. And that really became the birth of RoleMommy, where we were just kind of sharing and commiserating. But at the same time, we started building a platform, and we brought women together at the top of their fields, balancing work and family. And at this time, I also then became connected to the blogging world. And this is back in 2005. So I call it like the dawn of the blogging age.
Yeah.
And so I really became super interested in all these amazing women that had left high-powered careers, or their careers midstream, to go off on their own and write, or and blog. And so as I was at CBS, I was kind of getting bitten by the entrepreneurial bug, and I was questioning, maybe it's time for me to do the same. And so I managed to find a few PR clients and decided to take the plunge, while at the same time building RoleMommy. And what RoleMommy eventually has become is a blog network where I provide opportunities to bloggers, where they can go to, attend events that I work with, the entertainment networks that I've worked with before, where they can go see the premiere of a show, interview celebrities, write about their experiences, go to a movie, review products, all kinds of different things. And the experiences that I love is being able to connect the blogger with something that they've never experienced before. So that was I kind of built that whole concept, grew out of that original experience of how am I going to make this work and still do what I love. And the PR side of it is that I'm a publicist, through and through. So it's sort of, I have all these really wonderful clients that we take from building them from, an expert who's never done a TV appearances to eventually getting them on the Today Show, or a major network show. So I kind of love that, because I know a lot of the producers in that area. And my kids, who, were very little when I first started my career, or it started out making these changes, are now, my daughter is a senior in high school who is about to go to college, and my son is a freshman in high school. So they are my, I'm so proud of them, and I've been able to be there for them while building my own entrepreneurial business.
So you essentially built two businesses at the same time.
Yes.
Oh
Because, it's why just do one?
Because, we're crazy like that.
Right.
What I love about your story, though, Beth, is that you took a lot of the skill set that you already had, a lot of the connections you already had, and applied that to, these entrepreneurial endeavors that you took on. And I also love and want to point out that you thought outside of the box. So did you guys hear that she had mentioned, she had asked CBS if she could work from home back before that was a norm and before that was a thing people did. And so sometimes we just have to have the courage to ask for what we need to be able to balance family and career. And look, that turned into a 7-year ordeal for her. And because she was so valuable, I'm sure they were willing to kind of work with her and make it work. So number one, use the skills and the connections you already have as either a professional becoming a mommy or a mommy joining the professional world, and think outside of the box, and don't be afraid to ask. If you don't ask, you won't get. And I think this is such a beautiful example of that. And look what it's turned into after all these years.
Yeah, and what I love is the fact that I still get to work with CBS, even having been, now it's 10 years since I've left, and I just worked on a project for them recently. I do about 2 or 3 projects for them a year. And the other thing too, if you are someone who doesn't necessarily want to become an entrepreneur, wants to stay at your job, I did advocate for myself. Even when I was working from home, I remember coming up with a PowerPoint presentation for my boss to show him why I deserved a promotion and what I could bring to the company. And so, I started out as a senior publicist, and by the time I left, I was a vice president. And when I was lobbying for that position, the VP job, I pretty much talked about several divisions of the company that I could get involved with from a PR perspective. My boss used to call me the knitter because I was really great at knitting together various divisions of the company to make a campaign that much more impactful. And so he saw the value in that and had me become involved not only in the entertainment division, but marketing, digital, consumer product, and online. So and that was something for me that was truly fulfilling, because I loved that aspect of, oh, you didn't realize that the consumer products division is launching this, and we can bring the talent, and we can do a red carpet, and kind of coming up with these really larger than life ideas that everyone could benefit from, instead of it just being that singular, oh, we're launching a show on Tuesday, how much press can we get for it?
I love it. Advocate for yourself. What do you think is one of the biggest challenges women have in becoming an advocate for themselves? Or what challenge did you face, and how did you overcome it to put yourself out there and get what you want?
I think initially, as women, we really just want to be appreciated for what we do. And we've got being appreciated and feeling guilty both at the same time. We're balancing those two feelings. And a lot of times you think to yourself, well, I now telecommute, so I really can't ask for that raise, or I can't ask for that promotion, because now I'm taking advantage. I'm home 2 days a week with my, so that I could get my child off the bus or go to their dance recital at a time where I wouldn't necessarily be able to be there for them. And we attribute that to, oh, well, then I can't lend that. I can't be as good at my job because I need to be a good mom too. And my feeling is, the day no longer just ends at 5 o'clock. If you're going to get the job done, you figure out how you're going to fit things into your day to get the job done. There are certain professions that don't lend itself well to that kind of scenario, whether you're a lawyer or a doctor, or even a marketing executive that has to be in meetings, hour after hour. But there are plenty of options out there where you can look at where you are and come up with what's perfect for me and what's going to add value to the company. And so that they appreciate what I do. They know the value that I bring, and I don't need to feel guilty for being home and being there for my children, because no matter what, I'm still going to get the job done. And that's the thing. I mean, a lot of times, certainly companies have been burned by the person that is, MIA, and they don't get back in a timely fashion. But then there are those that absolutely put in that much more effort, because they know that the company has put that faith in them, that they know that it doesn't matter where you are, as long as you get the job done, I'm happy.
Yeah. I think that's a really solid point, because, in my experience as a mom, if I have a deadline, whether that be a professional deadline or, it's International Day tomorrow and we have to bake Portuguese cookies, I'm going to do what it takes to deliver on that deadline. And it might be up in the middle of the night baking or up really early or whatever, but we tend to deliver as moms and as women.
Yeah. And that's it. It doesn't matter. I mean, I have so many things that are going on, and with various projects. And for me, I think to myself, okay, on the days where I'm working on certain things, there's always, not that I want to work on the weekends as much, but sometimes you have to. Mm-hmm. And you can do it in between the other things that are going on. And because a lot of what I do is digital, it's very simple to send it from a phone or from from a tablet, from a computer. I just came back from a road trip where we drove all the way to Florida and back, and I did a lot of work on the road, and it didn't matter. I didn't skip a beat, or didn't miss a beat, because I was out of, I wasn't in front of my laptop.
Yeah. It's amazing what we can do with this device in business nowadays.
Yes.
So what has been the hardest part about balancing your kiddos as they've grown up and growing your two businesses?
I think, it's interesting. The scariest moment of my life ever was when my son was an infant. He was 8 months old, and this is when I was still at CBS. So I was working from home, but at the time I was in Manhattan that day, and I'll never forget the phone call that I got from my nanny that said, "You need to come home right away. Something's not right." And he wasn't feeling well, and I didn't, I just thought, oh, it was a cold. He'll be okay. And at that moment, I just, I was shell-shocked, and I got in a car and I came right home, and it turned out he had pneumonia. And I didn't, I had never known. I never knew had she not even said that to me, I probably wouldn't have known how scary that was. Mm-hmm. And thankfully she caught it. And it was at that moment first that I realized the key to being a successful parent is having amazing childcare. Because if you don't have someone in your life who is like your surrogate you when you're not there to make sure that everything is going smoothly, your house of cards falls apart. And I've seen it happen time and time again with moms that say, oh, I'm just going to get a, teen sitter to take my kid from point A to point B. And that you can't do that, because there are going to be situations that come up. And when it's health related, everything stops for my family, like everything. I don't care what's going on, whether it's my kids, my parents, my brother, it doesn't matter. That's, family is the most important. And I feel that employers have always understood that. And if they don't, then, too bad. I can't, that's life. Yeah. But and then I think that, luckily, I've made that conscious decision. Sometimes I've decided, I've thought, oh, maybe I should go back in and work 5 days a week from the city. I've always made it a point not to. And I think that it's really important that my kids have always seen me around, even if I'm not, available because I'm on a conference call, or they know that I'm close by. And now they're at a point where they are pretty self-sufficient. And I feel like I've played a part in having them, get that independence without having them feel like, oh, mom's never around. Oh, you can't come to this. 'Cause I wanted to kind of have a taste of both. And that's why I changed my life to accommodate that.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So surround yourself with people that you trust and support, and keep true to your values. That's what I hear you saying. Mm-hmm. You value your family time. You value being there if something goes wrong, and you've created a lifestyle that enables you to live within those values very firmly and very honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, and the other thing too, over the years, I mean, when you're an entrepreneur and you need to be making money, there are times you take on clients that are toxic or not necessarily the right fit. And I have done that. And and I've now, I feel comfortable enough to walk away, and I have walked away from a toxic client. And it kind of changes your whole sensibility. Just because you need to make money, I know how important it is to make ends meet, and both myself and my husband now are entrepreneurs, so it's very difficult, and we have a daughter who's going to college, so it's like you can't print the money fast enough. But the thing is, like, I feel like you have to still stay true to yourself. Still don't take on something where you're going to be miserable, because that's going to affect every aspect of your life. If you have a pit in in your stomach every time your phone rings and you see that that particular person is calling you. And that's what I went through a lot with this past client. And just as you would surround yourself with people in your home life that make you feel safe and secure and happy, you need to do the same in your professional life.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I tell clients all the time, part of being successful is being really protective of your energy, right? So it's not an unlimited gas tank where we can give all day long. We have to give to the things that matter most. And so by letting that negative energy come in and claim some of your energy, that's taking away from you time or family time or productive time with clients. So saying no is just as important as saying yes to opportunities to be protective of that energy.
I totally agree. And that was something that years ago I had done an event with Lee Woodruff, who is a fantastic author. She wrote the book In an Instant. With her husband was Bob Woodruff, who was the anchor who was injured during the Iraq War. And she and I became very close. And I remember, she was pulled apart in a lot of directions, and they have, I believe, 4 kids, and she was dealing with parents who were getting older as well. And she got to a point in her career where she said, I have to cut back. I have to say no. As much as I want to be there and be at these events, I can't, because I need to be there for my family. And I really took that to heart, because she's someone who I look up to, and I think she's just so incredibly talented. And when she said to me, you need to start doing that more. And at the time I was in I believe my late 30s, early 40s, it's like, as you learn, it's wisdom. As you get older, you have more confidence in yourself, and you have to feel good about saying, you know what, I really can't make it. And that's okay.
Yeah. And I think, going back to a point you made earlier in the interview, it's hard for us to say no as women and as moms, because we innately carry unnecessary guilt automatically.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I have, whether it's the guilt that you can't be at your kid's event, or the guilt that a friend of yours has invited you to something that is very special to them. I mean, I really do try to do that for dear friends. It's like, if you do that for me, I'm going to do that for you. But it gets to a point where it's funny. I was invited to something this week where I was invited to a dinner, and with a big brand, and I was kind of interested in going, and we had just gotten back from Florida, and I've been cooking a lot with like Blue Apron and other, like those prepared brand, whatever, the foods and everything. Yeah. So my husband was dropping me off at the train, and I said, so I'll be home a little late. I'm going to go to this dinner. He said, really? Do you really need to do that? Can't you just come home and like, maybe we could do the Blue Apron, because, Dylan, our son, loves it so much. Don't you want to just go home and do that? And I mean, that's so 1950s. Like, why don't you come home and cook dinner? But it was kind of funny, because the thing with Blue Apron is that the food, it's kind of, technically it's hard to do these things. It's almost like you become a sous chef for like an hour. It's pretty funny. So I was like, you know what? You're right. I kind of do want to just go home and make Blue Apron and then watch like Rachel Maddow, because I'm obsessed. But so I did not go to that special dinner, and I came home, and I was home for my family, and I made them a very nice dinner that they were super impressed with, and I watched Rachel Maddow. So there.
Awesome. I love that. It's like, just listen to your instincts, ladies. If your heart wants to go home, there's a reason for it. Go home. There's always going to be another opportunity. But sometimes the head gets in the way and starts analyzing, well, what could this mean for business? And what will happen if I don't go? Just stay in that heart and go home and have yourself some Blue Apron. I love that. I love it. Okay, so if there are mommies that are watching that are thinking about getting into the blogging community, what's a step they could take to embark upon that?
Well, the first thing I would say is it's as much as you, of course, dive into the thing that you love. So blogging, while you might really love writing, there are also bloggers out there who are fantastic photographers. So they're great at Instagram. They're great at Snapchat now. It's really, what is it that you already do in your life that you're really good at that drives engagement? For me, I'm really good at Facebook. I'm an old school. I'm not as good on Instagram. So I think that you need to first hone in on what is it that I really want to do, because you don't want your blog to be a chore. You don't want to be thinking, oh no, now I've got to add content every single day and feed the beast. No, you need to write from the heart if you're a writer. You need to do a video that's going to be authentic and fun and engaging, and not just every single day because you've made a challenge to yourself that you're going to do this. And that's what I did learn, because I feel like right now there are a lot of huge sites out there. Take Refinery 29, Pop Sugar, She Knows, Mom.me. They are heavily funded. You can't compete with that. They have a lot of traffic. So if you are a really great writer, your talent is going to rise to the top. So you could start your blog, but at the same time potentially contribute or offer these outlets you may potentially to contribute to those publications or those online sites, so that you can instantly raise your visibility more. The other thing I would suggest is connecting with bloggers in your own backyard. So I find on Facebook, there are all these different Facebook groups, and you might find that there's a blogging group right in your area that you can connect with and meet in real time. Then the third part would be conferences. You start looking into, is there a conference coming up or a blogging workshop coming up in my area that I could get involved with? Blog Her is sort of the main organization that has been doing women's blogging conferences since the beginning, and they do a really big conference every summer. So if you're going to start, you might want to look there, and or there are other things like Type A Moms. There's tons of them, and what starts happening is if you jump into it, you start connecting with like-minded women and men who are interested in that. And and again, I feel like if you're true to yourself, the opportunities are going to come. I didn't look at blogging at all as a business at first. It was really just me and it was my writing outlet. I loved sharing my funny stories. And eventually it led to a business because it combined what I did in PR with what I love. Mm-hmm. And so, but there are other bloggers that strictly do product reviews, and they turn it into a business that is, where you could make a lot of money. But the writers out there are looking for other things. They may want to get a book published. So you have to, again, it's like, what color is your parachute? Figure out what it is that drives you and what you're interested in. And then your blog will be born based on what you love, instead of, I'm doing this to make money. Don't ever go into blogging thinking you're going to be rich, because you won't be.
That's just such helpful feedback. And you mentioned What Color is My Parachute, which is an awesome book. If you women are kind of thinking about, well, what is my calling? What is my purpose? I'm longing for something professionally, but I don't know what it is. I know I'm really passionate about cooking and family and spreadsheets. Mm-hmm. Book, and it kind of guides you to figuring out what you're really passionate about. But those are some really helpful tips to kind of start with. So thank you so much for that.
No problem.
So I know we've talked about a lot of different things today, but if you had to summarize, right, like core to you and your experience, what tip or piece of advice or word of wisdom would you give mommies out there or women out there who want both? And how they can obtain both?
The main thing is be bold, be courageous, be creative. Mm-hmm. I think that if you don't come out of your shell, don't ever get sucked in by that guilt that, oh, they're never going to let me do this because I'm a mom, or because I can't get further in my career because I can't, put in 110% to my job. If you really want to stay in that position, or you want to stay at that company, be creative and come up with a position where you can still be incredibly valuable, but it fits into your lifestyle. If you're not at a place that is that forgiving or is that innovative, then you might want to look for other places. You look at Working Mother Magazine and check out the companies in front of being supportive of working families. Look and see if there might be things out there that you may, other companies that you might want to try to apply, for a new job if you think that it's time to leave. And if you are daring and you want to go off on your own, I call it the 1 foot in, 1 foot out policy. Don't ever just quit cold turkey. Start putting the feelers out. Start having a hustle on the side. Start trying to pursue your passion while you're working, and so that you could start seeing that you can turn that into a revenue generator. And eventually you can take the other foot out of the tub and go over to your passion. But if finances are a determining factor of why you can't leave your full-time job, don't leave your full-time job. Stay where you are, but start building the other thing on the side. And that's what I did. That's exactly what I did. I was not going to leave. I couldn't, for my family, do that. And over the years, I have 2 businesses, but sometimes one business is much more active than the other. And I kind of feel like I've created a business for myself, or a life for myself, where I get to have fun, and I have a team that I rely on, that we work together and we generate results, and then I can be home with my family. So you create your future, and don't ever settle. You froze, sorry.
It froze up. It ended with, and don't ever settle. That's the last thing I heard and I saw. I'm so sorry. We froze. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. Yeah, so
don't ever settle. What did you say after that? Because you were on an awesome rampage there.
Oh my God. No, it's yeah, I mean, it's just, don't ever settle for something that's making you miserable, because it's going to affect every aspect of your life. It really will. And again, it's like, you just have to be daring, bold, courageous and creative, and anything is possible if you just go for it.
I love that. Be daring. Okay, guys, be daring. If you don't ask, you'll never know. It's, what do we have to lose by asking? And even when I think about CBS, you talked about, even if your company isn't as forgiving or as innovative, CBS is straight up corporate America, and they were willing to come up with a very unique plan for you. So you just never know unless you ask. But I also like that you put in the time to, really present a thoughtful, proposal around what you would do, how that would look, and how it would add value. So don't be afraid to ask, but come prepared. Think through it and think about how you're still going to add value.
Yeah.
Be creative and courageous. I hear a lot of moms say, well, I'm not very creative, because they think of creativity in the aspect of art, because I don't paint and I don't draw, I'm not creative. No, when I think of creativity, I also think of being resourceful and thinking outside of the box and coming up with a solution that isn't the norm, but it's really going to work for you and your family. And all these amazing moms that I've been talking to on this summit have asked for something that is outside of the norm. And because they did, they have created this amazing life that gives them their family time, their professional time, and a ton of fun. So Beth, thank you so much for not only being that woman and setting an example for other women out there to do the same, but for sharing, your story and a lot of really applicable tips today.
My pleasure. And, I'm always, I'm still on my journey. Every year is a different experience, or every day is a different experience. And, and I just think that for someone who, especially who has little ones, there's a path, and every experience you have is going to lead you to what you want. You just have to try.
Awesome. And you guys, if you haven't checked out RoleMommy.com, definitely go and check it out and see, all the resources that are on there, and get to know a little bit more about Beth and what she does online. Beth, thank you so much for joining us. We so appreciate you taking time out of your busy life to chat with us.
Thank you. It was really fun.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.